Good evening, everyone. You may be seated. My name is Roy Morris. I am Director of Citizens Engagement in the Prime Minister's Office, and I will be your host for tonight. Let me welcome you to Gall Hill. Even though I am an outsider, I don't know that I'm qualified to welcome you home, but forgive me if I'm out of place. Well, welcome to Gall Hill nonetheless. This is our latest version of allowing our residents, our citizens, to speak with the leadership. And this is St. John Speaks. And as the name suggests, it is your opportunity to say what you have to say, to make sure that those who are here understand what your concerns are and what you would like from them. So feel free to speak. Tonight, we're going to try to get in as many people as possible, so I'm going to ask you to keep your presentations brief. I know sometimes we have a lot of preamble before we get to the point, but if you want to be fair to everyone, try to keep the preamble down and get to the point as quickly as possible. Additionally, what we're going to try to do is have more than one presentation and then get responses. However, if there is something that I think is really pressing or is complex, then I will opt to allow the responses immediately. Now, if you notice, you have the Prime Minister, the Honorable Mia Moore-Motley, you have members of her cabinet, there are still others who are coming, you have the technical officials from the various ministries, health is here, transport and works, which is also water, you have education, who else do we have? We have agriculture. So tonight we can entertain all of your questions, all of your comments, and let's make it fruitful, let's make it also enjoyable. But most of all, this is rural Barbados. And we know that in rural Barbados, if there's one thing that we understand, it is respect for each other. So we're going to give everyone the chance to speak, even if we don't agree. And we are going to have an orderly session. So at this time, I am going to turn over to the MP, the Honorable Charles Griffith. He will speak to you for a few minutes, and then he will introduce Prime Minister, and we will go from there. Thank you again.
Good evening. Blessings on us all. The Honorable Prime Minister, Mia Moore-Motley, members of Cabinet, St. John residents, good evening and welcome to St. John Speak. In 2018, in May, a change came to the constituency of St. John. And my Prime Minister and your Prime Minister indicated that if the support was given to me, that we would see some of the changes that happened in the other constituencies happen in this particular constituency in St. John. 4 years later, I am pleased to stand here at Gall Hill and suggest to you that there's a mantra in St. John is rising. And St. John is rising because of several different projects that are happening within the constituency of St. John. We have seen roads that were in a state of disrepair for more than 60 years that are now smooth. We have seen a community project or a Project Phoenix at Wakefield. The roads that I'm talking about in particular, we have Sherburn number 1, Sherburn number 2, Sherburn Main Road. We had a piece of road in Rosegate that was in a state of disrepair for more than 10 years. That road is now fixed. We have Cherry Grove that is fixed. Cherry Grove, the whole of Cherry Grove Main Road. We have Henley Main Road as well that is fixed. We have roads in Port House that would have been started halfway, and we're going to go back and fix that. We have Project Phoenix, a project that is seeing more than 30 young persons employed in agriculture at Wakefield Plantation. We have a situation where the water, I can't forget the water problem that was plaguing the constituency of St. John is no more. We still have pockets that we need to fix, but that has been resolved. Those of you who were here earlier would have seen a bus turning at this particular location. A new route that was introduced where it is taking individuals from within the constituency over to 6 roads. So when you hear the mantra in St. John that St. John is rising, you could understand why that mantra is now on the lips of a whole set of people within the constituency of St. John. And there's more that will be done. In 4 years, it was impossible to do all of the things that I have planned. This particular location here, we have drawings to redevelop this old polyclinic into a vendor's mall. The drawings are completed on their way to tongue and country planning. There's so much that is happening in St. John. One of the things that I promised when I came in is that we would remove, or I would try to remove, all of the pit toilets within the constituency of St. John. To date, about 24 or 30 of those pit toilets are no more. Now, these are things that you will never ever see on my IG or my Facebook page, because I have said repeatedly that people must have their dignity. I will promote other things, but I will not promote that. Houses of senior citizens within this constituency, and if you traverse the constituency, you will see those houses that I'm speaking about that were repaired, so that those old people in their twilight years will have a comfortable place to rest at night. COVID would have impacted the sports development within the constituency, but that is coming. I happen to know the Minister of Sports, so you could understand why sports development is coming to the constituency of St. John. So I am pleased that in 4 years, the confidence that residents in St. John gave to me to do a job, that I can stand here this evening and say that 60 years prior to that, the changes that are on the landscape of St. John are happening in a meaningful way. And a lot of that I attribute to my Prime Minister, because, without her, it would not be. In the middle of a pandemic, all of the stuff that we would have achieved as a government. If you look at St. John, you will see the streets. Those youngsters who are working in the ASH program that started a year later and they're still working. And you see the difference on the roads and the roadways in St. John. So I'm giving thanks. I am not going to deliver a political speech this evening, because I know that all of you have questions that you want to ask. But the mantra will remain: St. John is rising. As long as I'm in the MP for this constituency, we will continue to do things. The old library, in an attempt to provide employment for young ladies, I started a dressmaking program that will seek to provide uniforms for the 3 primary schools in St. John. 5 of those young ladies would have completed the course at the Samuel Jackman Prescott Polytechnic. It started here. And what will happen is that old library will now become a hub within the constituency of St. John to provide uniforms, not only for the 3 primary schools, but all of those youngsters within the constituency who will be attending school. So things are happening, changes are happening within the constituency. St. John is definitely rising.
I'm told I have your mic. First of all, those who are playing road tennis, please don't feel no way about stopping. You can come back and continue. I don't think you're going to affect our proceedings. So please, I know that in Barbados, once we start to see certain things, people feel that other things have to shut down. But we've come deliberately into the middle of this community because we want to hear people, see people, feel people. And it's against that backdrop, Charles, I'd like to thank you for your introduction. I'd also like to say that yesterday afternoon I had the opportunity to go with Charles to rub shoulders. In St. John, we got into 2 or 3 districts. Most importantly, we were able to settle and resolve the issues with access to land for the people in Henley and to formalize their use of the land that is now currently in the possession. Part of that is the old Clico estates, which you know the government has already backed up and paid, and therefore if we take off 10, 15 acres on each side of the village and give it to the people who live in the village to be able to help feed themselves at this very difficult time, that is what we were elected to do in order to be able to make lives easier for people who live in this parish. In addition to that, we were able to settle with the Ministry of Public Works, and I think they have a plan for me that's coming, that we will also start, and it's important to let people know where programs are spawned, but the program that will allow us to go into tenantries and to systematically remove and to pave out those roads, gaps, I don't want to call them even roads, pathways, whatever you want to call them, where people would either stump the toe or when the rain fall, would not be able to get up because they got to take 2 pairs of shoes in order to get to the front road. And we've agreed with the Ministry of Public Works that over the course of the next 2 to 3 months, the ability to be able to have a few dedicated pieces of equipment that will do nothing else but approach these tenantry roads across Barbados. There are 11 functional depots, correct, Mr. Tudor? And if we go to buy 6 bobcats and 2 or 3 rollers, plus use the milling material that is coming from a very expansive roadworks program, then we're in a position to start to not only do the front road, but to do the roads down inside too, where people live, so you meet both concerns. I say this because this is as a result of the feedback of rubbing shoulders with people in St. John. And we therefore believe that this 2-stage process that we're taking, we did it in St. Joseph. The AG will soon join us. I apologize for a little bit of the late start, but I was literally left a joint economic review group and left the economic team there, finishing off so that I could come here and be with you. Why? Because this is our business. And this evening, I will sit down now and allow you to talk, because at the end of the day, if there's one improvement that we want over St. Joseph, is to get more people speaking, gather the feedback. Things happen. In St. Joseph, if there's one thing that we want to improve over St. Joseph, is to be able to have more of you speaking, because we need to be able to get the feedback to continue to fuel in. The world is in a very, very difficult position as we speak. Lennox. And as a nation. And it is in a difficult position, largely because of multiple crises. Any one of these crises is sufficient to put us on the back foot. But when you have a pandemic that is now into 30 months, effectively starting in December 2019, and then what I call the trifecta of last year, the ashfall, don't get to the hurricane yet, the freak storm, because remember the first set of houses that lost their roofs was in the freak storm. And then 2 weeks later, Hurricane Elsa, the first hurricane in 66 years. And it's all causing and costing us as a government significant sums of money between all of them. And then on top of that, you think, okay, we're going to get by, and boom, you turn the corner and war break out in Ukraine, affecting food prices, affecting fertilizer prices, and at the same time, the resurgence of COVID in China with the zero tolerance policy for COVID shut down Shanghai for how many weeks? 7, 8 weeks? You understand? Or more? And then you have the backup of over 1,000 ships. Now imagine that you need a small part. Small part. You can't get the small part. You can't think. The perfect example of where the world was at was the greatest power, the United States of America, not having baby formula. The greatest power and the most vulnerable of all human beings, and still not being able to meet the needs of it. I say these things because just as we went through the pandemic talking with each other and us talking, it is our judgment that we need to go through these multiple crises talking with each other, unburdening in some instances, sharing solutions in others, making sure that we can craft a way forward, and making sure at the end of the day we may not always be able to help everybody, but with the right will, the right spirit, and thinking outside of the box, we will probably help a few more people to sleep easier when the night comes than we're sleeping before we engaged. And that's effectively what these parish speaks are about. I have no doubt that some will be very uncomfortable and some will be very easy. But easy or uncomfortable, our duty is to be here because you have elected us. And I've insisted that the members of Parliament not only continue to report to you on an individual basis, Their 6-month period is coming up soon because they were sworn in February. And 6 and 2 is what? 8. So they got until the end of August, early September to have their first reports to each of their constituencies. Why? Because we have to do things differently. And once we can do that, and on this other path, this is not about partisan politics. This is about governance. These parish speaks. And therefore, we look forward to hearing from you tonight. Thank you, and let's get it on.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Okay, so we are ready. Prime Minister has set the tone. There's a microphone right in the middle, and we are ready to take your submissions.
And note, I take careful notes from these. So if you see me writing, it's not disrespect.
Don't be afraid.
Good evening. I have 2 issues. One is the securities at the primary schools. They have none. The next issue is that I work at Bath Beach. My name is Danielle Broom. Church View, St. John. My first issue is that none of the 3 primary schools, we don't have any government security guard. So with the things that are happening now with the children being taken off of schools, I wouldn't like that to come to St. John. The second issue, I work at Bath Beach with NCC. We would like to have a little bus service, especially during the weekdays, because we have 54 persons who work with the beach cleanup, and 54 with the beach cleanup, and 10 NCC workers. It is hard for me, who has to leave Churchview, walk here to Gaw Hill, to catch a minibus who's going to put me on top of Bath Hill. Then I have to traverse down to Bath Beach. I was followed once. It had me so frightened, I had to ask for transfer. But I asked back for transfer to come back home to ease with the situation because of the bus fare going from St. John to Christchurch. All I'm asking or begging for is a bus service to go to Bath Beach on mornings and afternoons. We all work 7 till, some is 7 to 3, well, NCC is 7 till 4. I've asked about that, but it was made to understand that it's not playable.
No problem, darling. That's why we have St. John Speaks. Everybody who's coming in, you gotta be there. If you're at the top of the hill at 6:45, you're in good time, right, Ms. Broom?
Well, for me, I'll be out here when 6 o'clock, 6
Right,
a.m.
but what I'm saying is that we're not talking about up here. How do you get from here? Because everybody coming from different places. So the major problem is walking down the hill from Bath, not true? Yes. Therefore, if people who are getting there by public transport can take a shuttle from the top by the derelict structure where the Rastas farm in the land.
We come from further up the hill.
Well, just tell me where you want it from.
Okay. On top of Bath Hill. We call it Bath Hill by the triangle.
No problem. He knows. So
by the major stop.
Fine. So, right. So Charles arranged for it for 6:45 to pick up people there at 6:45 in the morning. And then the first set will go up at 3 o'clock and the second set will go up at 4. That's just one person doing a quick run up the hill 3 times a day, times 5, times 4. That's 60 in a month. You understand? Workout or something. It is not a kill cow.
Thank you very much.
Hello, good night. Good night. My submission is going to be one of thanks. I want to thank the MP for the programs that he have issued to the. Good night. My name is Ronald Shepherd. Let me start over. My name is Ronald Shepherd. I'm a resident of the Henley Lawn community, Cherry Grove. Yes, I just want to thank our MP and the PM, extended thanks, for the programs which he has allowed the residents, some of the youngsters, so they can have jobs, so they can put food on their table. I want to give thanks for that. I also want to thank the MP for the light he has shown on our community, St. John and Hull, whereby he has introduced the HOPE program, and he has fixed the roads, you know. I just want to give thanks to him. I hope that he keeps, I just want to hope that he keeps doing the good job that he's keep doing, and I want him to, you know, just keep St. John raising. Yes, ma'am.
Stay there. Minister of Education. Minister McConney, do you want to respond to the first issue?
It's not really a matter for her, it's a matter for the Prime Minister's office. Okay. Government security. The truth is, we will try our best, but we also are not fooling nobody in these conversations. I'm also managing a level playing field, so we will look and see if there's any adjustments that can be made without adding to the expenditure at this stage. But we're going to try our best. I've heard Ms. Brooms, and I've made a very clear note on it. Okay? Thank you. And we'll do it on a risk assessment too.
My name is Tawana Kadegan. I'm actually a member of a constituent of St. Joseph. I missed my meeting, I think it was 2 weeks ago, and I didn't think that it was fair for me to take up your time. So I penned a letter to you, Ms. PM Motley, because I really don't want to take up St. Joseph's constituents' time. Okay. All right. No, I don't. It won't be fair to you guys. All right.
Spirit. The Barbadian spirit. Fairness, fairness, fairness. Thank you, my dear.
My name is Eudine Bellamy. I'm a resident of Henleyland, St. John. My main issue is the transport board. Transport board, the drivers come up when they're going up to Eudine Bellamy. You're welcome. When the buses come up to go, well, they say Bormiston, but they go up to Stuart Hill in St. John. The drivers come up. If there's nobody to go in on the bus, they don't go into Henley. They keep straight up the road. Sometimes the school children going to lodge is in Henley waiting to go up to school. If the bus doesn't come in, which means they'll get to school late. When them come down, some just go straight down the road, they don't come in. So if you're in there waiting for a bus to go to school at St. Jude, that means you're going to get to school late too, or you will not get at all. Next problem is pardon me? Oh. The next problem is, pardon me? The buses normally leave town at 1:15. They go to Bridgetown on the hour. Sometimes you see the bus come up, you ask the driver, "Excuse me, sir," or "Excuse me, ma'am." But mainly, the women would cooperate and come back through. But the men that's answering is some of the raucous ways that if I reply to them in the same way, I will lose my savior. But I want to see my savior, so I don't reply. So please, Miss Auntie Mayor, if there's anything that you can help me with the transport board with that issue, Please help me. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bellamy. This gentleman here is acting, he's the Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of Public Works. He's a Member of Parliament for St. Andrew. His name is Rommel Springer. Rommel, take off your mask so that they can know to recognize you. And he will tomorrow speak to the Transport Board about asking that the drivers do not only come into Henley when they got somebody to drop off, but remember that people also need to catch the bus and not get drop off. And please don't lose your savior.
Then on evenings, school over now at 2 o'clock. There are a good set of children using the bus to come home on evening from school. If they could send a bus to accommodate those children, instead the children sometimes get home 4:30, 5 o'clock, all kind of ridiculous times. I would like that also to be addressed. Have 3 holes in Henley. Please, I would like MTW to come and patch them for me, please. 3, especially the one in the corner. Only waiting for an accident to happen. Thank you so much.
You too.
Hello. Hi, my name's Karen Whitaker, and I'm the founder and director of Ocean Acres. Okay, Ocean Acres Animal Sanctuary. My name is Karen Whitaker. Yeah. So we're fortunate to have 4 beautiful acres in this lovely parish of St. John. And I would like to take this opportunity, first and foremost, to welcome everybody to come and visit us. We have 130 dogs and about 120 cats. These are all rescued animals. Animals that either people don't want, people can't manage, people can't handle, or that have been found, or whatever, basically homeless. So we take them in, we help the people that need help. But it's in Newcastle, St. John, yeah. It's beautiful. It's very therapeutic. We have a youth group. We like to invite children to learn different things about animal husbandry. We have visiting vets to teach them all sorts of different things. So this little fella that I have here with me, he wasn't intended. He didn't actually get an invitation tonight. We found him on the way. So he stepped out in front of my car on the way here. So he's here by accident, so excuse him coming without an invitation, but hey, he's here anyway. So yeah, we have this beautiful place. We work ever so hard. We see a lot of sadness, not just with the dogs and the cats, with the people, the situations that we go to where people aren't managing their pets. They're often not managing in many ways as well, and we help as much as we can. With food for the animals that perhaps they're keeping, even with food for the people sometimes, we do whatever. What we intend Ocean Acres to be, ultimately, is a place of therapy to try and introduce dogs into society in Barbados to realize the therapeutic value of animals. And there's many. People might be surprised. We have a young lady who comes to visit us who has PTSD, and she gets an amazing amount of comfort from being around the cats and so on. We have a cat yoga group, so please don't laugh. Every Saturday morning you can come and do yoga with the cats. Anybody can come. We would love to invite you all to come along. On another note, there's a couple of things that we need some help with. There's too many sad and lost and stray dogs. There's too many dogs wandering about the streets causing accidents. And we would so much like to see the laws enforced a little bit more. There are laws, I know, about animal cruelty. And what we see is hard to bear, We have to carry that with us. And it's not just the dogs, it's the people. I have calls from children who say, please come quickly, Daddy's going to kick the dog again. It's hard. So there's a lot of stuff going on out there that is associated to animals, but it's not just about the animals, it's a societal thing. And that's part of not just this parish, the whole island, and I would like to see that a little bit better. So we would like some help. It's not an easy fix, I know, but to look at these laws and how they can be more enforced, and perhaps there needs to be some consequences for some of these things. And secondly, what we would like, which is a bit easier, is some endorsement. Not for what we do, because we do that willingly, but we really need to encourage people to spay and neuter their pets. Because one of the biggest issues that people don't know how to deal with is they keep having puppies. They keep making more. And there's no need for it. We have Karen over here from Canine, who offers a low-cost spay and neuter option. We are here to help with that. And the quickest solution, the only solution to the overpopulation here, so we don't have so much to do, and we can offer more benefits to people, is to fix this spay and neuter thing. So if we could just have some government endorsement on that, just to explain to people to spay and neuter their pets. We can tell them how to do it. We can sort that out. It's just a good idea. That's it. Thank you.
Ma'am, I'd like to thank you, and I'd like to say two things. One, would you be so kind as to write with some draft PSAs in mind? If you bring us the PSAs, I'll make sure that the Government Information Service carries them for you, and to get the message out there. And why? Violence is a public health disease. And whether violence is to people or to animals, it comes from the same space. If we had not had COVID, the heads of government of the region had agreed that we would have a major summit, not governments alone, but societies across the Caribbean addressing the issue of violence. Violence and abuse are of the same family. Secondly, we have, and I said it with black-belly sheep, I say it with chickens, I say it with dogs, I say it with cats, whatever it is, a child learning the responsibility to take care of another living organism puts that child in a different position as they grow older in terms of responsibility. And all of us will hear stories about, my grandfather used to make me take out the stock. You had a responsibility to make sure that they were fed, that they were brought in, that they were given water. All of these things help to make us better and more rounded individuals. So I want to thank you for the voluntary work that you all are doing. I want to encourage others to get on board. I like the fact that you have a youth group there as well, and we will do what we can with the PSAs. And with respect to the legislation, please write us and lay out your concerns. I know that others have. And we have in our parliamentary party, I think Marcia Cattle is the czar of animal protection in this government. So you have friends in the government. And in my case, I wish I had the time to be home to take care of a dog, but I'm never home.
Thank you.
Our Prime Minister, thank you for coming to St. John. My name is Stephen Savory. I'm from Welch Village. And I have 5 questions, but I will only ask 3 on this occasion because I don't want to hog the show. The first one relates to monkeys and the monkey problem that we're having in St. John. It's a really difficult one. I happen to live in an area where I remember one morning I got up and I counted over 55 monkeys traverse from low to high in my particular area. In recent times, 1 or 2 persons have been coming through to cull the population, but we are still having a major challenge, and I know that's affecting the agricultural output as well in St. John. And I like for something to be done, increasing the number of persons who are patrolling and who are going to be intervening in that particular respect. The second one is I noted that as you know, in Welch, we do have a problem in terms of the roads and so on, and I know that the promise has been made with regard to the fixing of the roads in Welch, and if we could be able to get an update on that particular aspect of the program with regard to that. The third one, before I go to the third one though, there was something that I wanted to say, and I wanted to congratulate you on being selected as one of Time Magazine's 100 influential persons in the world. So the third point that I wanted to raise is as it relates to entrepreneurship. Now, one of the challenges that I, being in that particular sphere, have seen over the last 5 years or so is that there are a number of persons within St. John as well as in Barbados that have business ideas that go past the norm with regard to funding and so on. And I know funding is always a problem in Barbados with regard to how businesses are run. But there are some persons who, and I think the trust program is a wonderful program, but the trust program is a program that is only meant to handle those at the micro level. But there are new vistas and new businesses and new ideas and new companies and new thoughts and new ideas that are coming out that require a larger input in terms of finance. And that has been a signal problem for entrepreneurs in this country. And I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. Now, I tried to start an animation company about 4 years ago, and one of the challenges that I had basically was financing. And the thing about animation is that you can't start animation with a $50,000 or $100,000. It has to be something that you have to have a studio of 20 persons who are working in an animation studio. And for that, it needs financing. And I know that animation is a focus for government in terms of its value to the economy, its value. And I'll just give an example of, so we were running behind a contract for over $5 million at one point in time. And that was only one contract. But the thing of that, the point that I'm really getting to really is that we need to find a mechanism where we can be able to help persons who have those bigger ideas that ask for more of an input from government. And there's nobody out there that's really doing it or helping persons. The banks are not doing it or so. And if we can be able to find a mechanism where we can be able to assist these persons and then help them to get from where they are to where they need to be. Other governments are doing it in the world in terms of supporting those particular industries that they believe are vital to the future of the economy. And we need to grow new businesses and so on. So that's the third one. I have two more, but I'll come back.
Very quickly, on the monkey problem, the Minister of Agriculture is here. This is a very delicate issue, as you know, and what has to be done has to be done. Other countries have approached this issue in a balanced and fair and judicious way, and we're going to have to do it in Barbados too, because it is really causing a major havoc on food security. I never saw monkeys on a beach until 2 years ago, and I've been going to the beach all my life. Secondly, with respect to the road in Welch, I don't think that is the next one or two, but it will be done, and Public Works will have it. But as you know, we can't do all at once, but we're working through. The people in Welch also have been lucky. The government has been able to convey lots to the people in Welch, and all who have not bought yet, please buy. Buying at 10 cents a square foot is cheaper than buying a pair of sneakers. So you have a house at the end of the day and a property at the end of the day that will allow you to be able to borrow back on that property, because immediately you have market value, even though what you paid for it was under the equivalent price of the Tenantries Freehold Purchase Act that Tom Adams introduced over 40 years ago. So I want to use this opportunity for you to urge your neighbors in Welch, those who can benefit. We've gone to great expense to survey the land, to be able to convey the land. The MP has gone and visited most people. I'm asking them to go back again, because I say to you, rent is dead money. Okay? And very quickly on the, please come and discuss with me the animation. Look, we have some funds that we are repurposing. The Industrial Credit Fund cannot be seen in the way of traditional industry in this country, and has to be redefined in order to be able to support a lot of this service-oriented stuff. We also have one of the major creative companies globally that has over a $3 billion budget to spend on social and traditional media, and a $500 million turnover, looking to open up a hub in Barbados. They have 3 other global hubs, and that will open up a lot of opportunity for creatives over the next few months. I think they're at the stage now of identifying potential location to work from, and they're Bajans who working in there, and they're based out of Europe. So I think that there's some opportunities. Don't give up, and please go back into the animation. I'd like to urge you as well to get and work with youngsters who can allow you to animate the folk heroes of the Caribbean, Ladja Bless, Steel Donkey, Anansi, I can go on, because the Caribbean diaspora wants their children to know and hear these stories that they grew up hearing, in the same way that you will hear about the Loch Ness Monster. You understand? We need to be able to tell our stories to ensure that they go generation to generation. I'm trying to keep the talking quick.
Good night. My name is Marietta Carrington. I actually live in St. James South, but I spend more than 60 hours a week in St. John, and I think that gives me the right to speak. I happen to be the CEO of Verdon and Marina House, the only drug rehab center on the island. And because I have Minister Griffith's cell phone, there's not a lot that I need to say publicly. But I want to say this evening, I want an opportunity to speak to the health representatives here. And my Director of Clinical Services has said I have to speak, but we've just introduced a program called Teen Intervene, because our research has shown that most of the men and women that show up at our doors experiment in their teen years. And the one good thing that COVID has brought to us is an awareness of mental wellness. Addiction is not a moral issue, it is a health issue. And if you don't remember anything that I've said tonight, asking for help is not a sign of weakness. So thank you, and I think I have the right to speak.
Thank you, Marietta. I didn't recognize you. You still look like the last time I saw you nearly 20 years ago. Let's keep it going. The microphone is free.
Okay, pleasant good night, everybody. Charles, Mia, I'm Padmore, Fabian from over Henley. I would like some help. I called Charles a couple of times. He know me. I guess he's familiar with me by now. I don't know if anybody speak to the squatters yet, but I'm a squatter. And right now, I stand to lose everything. And when I say everything, I mean like all my money, everything I invest in some property over in Bournemouth. And I mean, I just went there. My aunt. Yes, please.
The day that we live in a country where you got to come up to a microphone and tell your personal story in front of people is the day that I need to move from this job. Charles will meet with you as soon as this meeting is done, and we will deal with your story. All right? Okay?
Just a bit high. That's good as fun. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. My name is Karen Millen, and I'm the founding trustee and manager of Canine Friends Barbados. And for those of you that get buses early in the morning, you've probably seen me going up and down the road in the van with the dogs on, collecting dogs from Karen at Ocean Acres to take them off to our clinic to be spayed. So, Millen, M-I-L-L-E-N. So what I'd like to ask the Honourable Prime Minister this evening and the rest of the government ministers is, going on from what Karen said, when are we going to see some action in Barbados with some support for what we're trying to do? We're not asking you for money. We're not asking you to do anything particularly for us. What we'd like to see is just some endorsement and maybe some encouragement for people to neuter and spay their dogs, because it is the root cause of the overpopulation on the island, a lot of health issues. We've got dogs scavenging rubbish because they're hungry, cats doing the same thing, and it's just becoming worse and worse. We offer a very low-cost service for people that are unable to go to a normal clinic. So, and we pick them up for you if you don't have the transport, return them the same day. And that's like all the animal charities on the island. We've had before meetings with members of government that really have come to nothing. So we're getting quite frustrated, and we just want to say, please listen to us. We don't ask for any money. We don't ask for any honours. What we do because it's our passion and we want to do it. But we just need some help and support from the government. Thank you.
I think that I told Karen just now that give us the letter, give us the PSAs, and we'll run it on the Government Information Service. Write also on where you think we need to be going with respect to policy. Other people do it and stakeholders. Policy leads to legislation, so your voice will be heard just like any others. And let me just say, part of the difficulty of running a government in a small state is that we have to be jacks of all trades. We have too many issues and too few people. So the same people who are dealing with this are dealing with that, and that. So that's why I have an open approach to governance, and I think all of the members of this government have an open approach. We do not believe we know everything. We do not believe we are all powerful. So to the extent that we can, and remember, as I said, we're doing this while juggling 3 major crises in the world while in an IMF program. So it's pretty difficult. But PSAs is an easy fix. Easy fix. And for you to put out there an appropriately worded PSA, 30 seconds, that reminds people of the services that are available to spade and neuter, that reminds people of why we don't want to see violence to animals is this child of violence to adults. That's the truth. Okay? You grow up one into the other. So we hear you. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Prime Minister and my MP, Mr. Griffith. I'm happy to be here. I have a few issues to be dealt with, or so I would like to voice. One is, my name is Basil Clark, and I live at Codrington College Estate in St. John. Basil Clark. Basil. I have been trying to get a house together for a number of years without any success. So I have to ask for some help. And you may not know me, but Marsha Keller is my niece. She used to call me uncle. And I talk with her sometimes, but I asked Mr. Griffith if he could help me with some assistance. And people from rural came to my home, and they inspected the house, and they wrote out what needed to be done, and they have, since then, they have not come back.
You leave it with us, sir. My assistant over there, you go to the back, she'll talk to you. But let me also be very clear. We were on a clear program of repairing houses in RDC and UDC. And then the freak storm and Hurricane Elsa came. We have over 670 houses that have to be completely rebuilt. We're not finished rebuilding them. And we had about 2,000, just over 2,100 to repair. Rest assured, little by little, with faith in God and with appropriate husbanding of resources, we're going to reach everybody. That is why we're trying to have as many different options. Some of you would have gone in Queen's Park this weekend and seen another one from the Guyanese, a combination of hardwood and cement board that's coming in at a low-cost house. That is also why we have also agreed to give every Barbadian homeowner the right to be able to have some kind of renewable energy thing on their roof, not because we want you to have it alone, but because it helps you get access to a mortgage. And if you're not in a mortgage, it helps us pay for the construction with rent to own. So either which way, it allows us to be able to do both. But I'm asking you, I know it's difficult, talk to Ashanta, and we will try our best, my brother. Okay? Thank you.
One more thing is that the road, the entrance to my home is up from over the pipe in Sergeant Street, the ones before pipe actually, and another road over where the old pipe bath used to be, on Bath Beach, on Bath plantation land. And thank you very much, ma'am.
While the mic is being prepared, there are quite a few people who are standing on the periphery. There are still some chairs on the inside, and there are dozens of chairs over on the back that you can pull and sit. Even if you don't come under the tent, you can still sit around rather than standing, a little more comfortable. Go ahead, ma'am.
Good night, Madam Prime Minister, Mr. Griffith, and the rest of the panel. My name is Rufina Henry, and I live just opposite there in Gall Hill Terrace. I am here to represent the women, single, over 50 women who are unemployed. Right, so I find myself in a predicament. This is like 7-8 years now since there was a restructuring at Barbados Tourism Authority. And I have not gotten a permanent job since. I worked as one of the only three persons in the hotel, at Barbados Tourism Authority to inspect hotel, restaurants, and so on. So I can say unique. But I have tried. I'm not coming here to expect any kind of handout from government. I'm just trying to make a point where persons, women especially, over 50 years old, is finding it difficult to find employment in Barbados. People are looking for younger persons. I am qualified. I have the experience. I have the skills. And I am not getting unemployment. I'm not getting any employment. For me to sometimes, when I reply to a vacancy, I have to take off my qualification. That is how bad it is, right? I have tried my own cleaning business, which is you get a few jobs once in a while, and it cannot support me. The operative word here is I am single, right? Good. So I need somebody to look into this thing with persons, employers not employing women or persons over 50 years old. Thank you very much.
Ms. Henry, don't go nowhere. I want to look at it from two ways, and I thank you for raising it, but I hear you raising it more from the point of view of discrimination, and I get that, and I believe we need to confront it. But I'd like to invite you to come to us and tell us the areas that you think globally, because most of you who you say will have experience and who are over 50, don't let us limit our sights to Barbados. And more, there's a lot more digital work being done and that we may be able to put together. And those who may not be academically inclined, when I was growing up as a child, my grandmother used to be crocheting and doing all kinds of things all the time. I say that only from the point of view that anybody who buys clothes will know that any clothes that got cut work or crochet or fancy things on it is a lot more expensive than a straight cut, correct? So I'm prepared to look and work with you. If you and others in similar positions come up, because I belong to your class too, I'm over 50. For now I got a job, but I might not have it tomorrow. You understand? And I'm single. But no, this is a serious issue, because as I go through my constituency, there were a couple persons like you as well. And I'm saying to others that look, we have just gotten Coursera to give us 15,000 free courses. So it may be that, yes, people are qualified, but they may have to do a course in something else for which there's a greater demand. You understand what I'm saying? I have people coming to us now about the possibility of us training people in cybersecurity, because there's going to be a shortage of people working in cybersecurity globally, and in particular in the Americas. And we already know what it is to be attacked by all these ransomware attacks. Every week is a different company. So whether you're artistically inclined, whether you're academically inclined, whatever it is, it's a real issue. If people come to work every day, and if you can help me think outside the box, we will help you get there. Okay? Thank you so much, Mary.
Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Prime Minister, Member of Parliament for St. John, and all the other members of Parliament. I am not from St. John, but I just come here to commend my government for the excellent work they are doing in these programs, in this open forum. I attended the one at St. Joseph, and I was impressed, and I'm impressed this evening. So, Madam Prime Minister, I want to say to you, continue the good work that you are doing in uplifting Barbados by holding these forums where people can get the opportunity to speak their feelings. Thank you.
Good evening, Prime Minister Motley, and to my Minister Charles Griffith, and to the rest of the panel. First, I want to say before I forget, excuse me, Marlene Olton. Before I forget the first thing, I got 3 things about the first one. The road, I live in Port House, and I am at almost the top where the road is finished, maybe over a year or so. I have a problem with my gap. Not me, but someone behind me fell down in that gap already, and until now, her feet has not healed. The next thing, Carl Williams took the marks out of the road, which is my line marks. Before they took them, I asked if they would replace them, and they say yes. Now, it's a problem. Every time I call, they are not responsible. MTW is responsible. I spoke to someone in MTW, I don't remember his name. He said it's not their problem, it's Scout's problem. So that's why I'm here this evening.
And you should come. Mr. Tudor? We will deal with that. Thank you.
Okay. I paid twice to put those line marks. I can't do it again. Yeah. I mean, when it comes to poor people, you're just getting the turn around from everybody. I'm a senior citizen and work whatever off in this country, and now don't seem to be able to get no response from nobody. It's not good enough. It seems as though wherever you go, everybody is rejecting you and turning you around. All this thing brings stress on you. It's not good enough. It's not like I'm a lazy woman sitting down doing nothing. I work from 13 years till now. It's hard. The next thing about the bus service, my 2 feet ain't able to pull that hill no more. And I'm asking long time if we could have the roads finished repaired and have a bus like the girl asked to let the bus go to Bath. It can go to Bath, come through Port House. So to give us some ease, Port House mash up, everybody feet down in there.
I think you must have heard me yesterday with Mr. Tudor on this hard court. Not true, Mr. Tudor? They're going to finish it. Look, the truth is that we're juggling a lot of roads to deal with a lot of communities. There were virtually no roads done for how many years? for 6-7 years. And that's why at the St. Joseph meeting I said we picked up a new name. It's called Electrolux, because we're cleaning up everything. You understand? But sometimes even the Electrolux vacuum cleaners choke a little bit. You understand? Because the dust coming at it too strong. So I'm not going to tell you that it will be finished next week or next month, because it won't. But we will start it back, and hopefully within the next 12 to 18 months, it will be completed. As you correctly stated, more than half the road has been done, and that's where the majority of people live at the moment. Is that correct? My memory of the site visit, and Mr. Tudor, correct me if I'm wrong, part of the difficulty is you have to realign the road going down the hill now, because part of the road is clay and part of the road is coral. And we need to be able to put the road all on a coral foundation, stone foundation, so that you don't get the slippage that we were getting before. So I wouldn't know that if we weren't treating to it seriously. Okay?
One will come as soon as possible to fix the gaps, because they came and put little Barber Green, and it's uphill, downhill, and these 2 feet of mine is no good.
Mr. Broom? Yes. Mr. Broom is a good-looking man. Stand up here. Stand up and let the people see your face. He can make sure he's the depot man.
He knows quite well, so
but that's what I say. By what the rest to say, he's a good-looking man. So, and he won't take off his mask to let people see his face.
Yeah.
You see what I'm telling? Look, get up again, Mr. Broom, man. You understand? So he's in charge. You see, I wasn't telling a lie.
Yeah. Thanks very much, Miss Prime Minister. And Charles, I'm looking forward to seeing you soon.
So good evening. I know I don't sound it, but I am Bajan and I am resident. 2 things. Your name? Oh, Liz Lashley. So with the roads, will that include all the small gaps? The small gaps that kind of only have 6 residents. Ours is a cart track, and it's a nightmare getting in and out our land.
Yes, it will. The truth is that we have hundreds of tenantry roads across Barbados that have not been done. When UDC and RDC were first formed, they used to do the roads. Because of the change in focus, we didn't put back roads. The last government took it away from them, and we haven't reintroduced it. What I've said is that we will have this dedicated approach that will be managed by the depots. And if all goes well, like there's a road right in the back there that caused us to come with this. Mr. Tudor said you can do it in 1 to 2 days. You understand? Even if it took 3 days. If you have 6 bobcats doing work dedicated like that, you can assume that in 250 work days a year that you could get at least 50 to 60 roads done per bobcat and roller. Okay? Even gap, but the majority of them don't have a name. That's exactly the ones we're looking at. Okay? So okay. All.
And the other thing is...
And once you tell Charles where it is, y'all are...
I did write,
everybody.
but I didn't hear back. Yeah.
Okay. Where do you live?
Martins Bay.
Martins Bay, no problem. Enough people know Martins Bay.
The other thing, briefly, is what's being done about the coastal erosion? It's a lot is visibly being done on the west coast and the south coast. I would like to know what's being done on the east coast, please.
This question was asked in your St. Joseph Speaks, and Dr. Brewster answered, didn't he? And indicated that we are looking at the coastal defenses are island-wide. It's not just the west coast. It's just that in the west coast we put the revetments and the boardwalks recently in the last few years. But our concern is the entire island with coastal. So I'm not sure if Dr. Brewster is here. He isn't? Okay, well, we'll follow up. But I'll have them do a session on TV looking at the East Coast and explaining to people what's happening in the East Coast. Ironically, today, there is an article in one of the international newspapers talking about the utilization of sargassum in a process that the New Zealanders have developed, and they refer to a potential experiment in Barbados that they want to look at and work in terms of using sargassum to help become liquid fertilizer. And at a time when fertilizer prices have increased by 180% globally, it would be a welcome thing.
Good evening, Madam Prime Minister, Member of Parliament for the Parish of St. John. Hi, my name is Chanel Ford, and I am a resident of Coach Hill, St. John. My primarily issue is temporary workers within the government service. I am a temporary officer. I would have been retrenched in 2018. However, I was rehired last year. But prior to that, I had in 9 years. But my question is, what is being put in place for temporary persons? Well, I have two questions. What is being put in place for temporary persons going to, let's say, the bank to get a mortgage? Because you know that's difficult. And number two, in terms of the prejudice, how long it should take, and if, I don't even know how to word this, but okay, how long does the prejudice normally take? I don't know if Madam Prime Minister could answer me. The prejudice, where you apply to the Governor General to be appointed in the post, where, according to yeah.
I know that the president has literally been working through. I think she did over 500 appeals. So far. Over 500 appeals so far with respect to those persons who may have been disadvantaged. Because remember, the government passed a law basically saying that anybody who had been acting in a position for 3 years or more should be entitled to be appointed straight off. And thousands of people were appointed 2 years ago, as you know. With respect to the appeal process, in fairness, the president has been working faster than I've seen any other process in recent times, and to have gone through 500 appeals in the short space of time is good. So I can't tell you an exact time, but suffice it to say it should be no more than a few months. Okay? With respect to the temporary position, and believe you me, it is hard anytime you're dealing with retrenchment. But as you know, there were issues that we had to confront, and I'm glad that you're working again. Why we have come up, and I said it earlier, with the panels on the roof or the turbine is to be able to be an earner, so that people like yourself or others who may be self-employed, who have difficulty proving income, can have the roof earned for you and be de-risked. And either you can assign the right of the roof to somebody else, like is happening in Lancaster, which reduced the cost of the property by $80,000, thereby making people who would not otherwise qualify be able to qualify. Or in the case of the same ones from Guyana that we're just talking about, those houses, if at the end of the day we can get the houses and the PV panel to a person at $110,000, go and work the mortgage calculator, 25 years, that's $500 and something a month. And more often than not, you will be able to get from that roof probably in the vicinity $400 to $500 at least a month coming. So what that does immediately is to de-risk you, and that is the kind of conversation we're going to be having with the banks, so the banks can take a chance on people that they would not otherwise have taken a chance on, because you're not only depending on your job income, but you're also getting, as Dwight would tell you, your roof income. Okay?
Question would have been,
everybody know, because that would be to give you a false hope, and that's not what I'm going to do to you.
After, well, you explained about the roof, but it's to get the roof. Yes.
And that is why That is why this gentleman here, dressed in the red and white striped shirt, has a responsibility. I keep talking about the silent revolution in housing that can come. And I think thousands of people went through the house in Queen's Park this weekend, right? That house was put up in a week's time based on what we brought in. President Ali and the Guyanese were able to help us. And we believe that we can get at least 1,000 of those into Barbados in the next year, 15 months, 18 months, to be able to get up. That has nothing to do with the ones that the Chinese are doing. That has nothing to do with the traditional mode of construction. Charles has a pool. You see the roads being cut at Pool as you all come up. When you pass by Pool, that's a whole set of houses being done there. So the panels is what will make it possible for people like you to probably be able to be de-risked to get a job, a house, sorry.
Well, I would have been at a disadvantage in applying for the HOPE because of the requirements. As I said,
and that's exactly what I'm telling you, that I have given instructions that if you have revenue from the roof, there are people who, for example, could pay rent to own. Rent to own can be 30 years. But really and truly, they can pay off the money on their own because they got the money coming in. But you've got to be able to take a chance on some people. And I'm saying to you that if the majority of the revenue for the mortgage deal comes from an independent, secure source, chances are the fancy language where the financiers will be that you can be de-risked. In other words, that they can take a chance on lending on you. And that's why the government has introduced this policy. I don't know of any government globally that has agreed to give homeowners a photovoltaic panel or a nano wind turbine on the roof as of right. We are the first country that I know. Not that it hasn't happened, I just don't know about others. And it's being done because people like you, people who are self-employed and itinerant vendors, don't keep in proper records, but still money coming through the hands. We got to take a chance on our people. And rent is dead money. So we're going to work with you to make it happen. I set external and internal targets. And praise be to God, let us hope that you're one of the ones who will benefit soon.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Towards ultimately pension arrangements too. Okay?
Yes, good night to everyone here, and especially to our Honorable Prime Minister, Ms. Motley. My name is Wayne Bauer, and I'm a member of the feed program at Wakefield right now. I was also a member of Project Oasis, but you would know that the government that took over disbanded that program, and Ms. Motley came up with Project Phoenix, and that's what is allowing me and the other members of Wakefield to rise from the ashes and to be able to ensure that no matter if the war continues, we can help feed our constituents. So I thank you for that. You know, everything ain't perfect. We got a little issues, but those are being worked on right now. But my main goal is to tell you thank you for allowing us that opportunity. And definitely to Griff, definitely. We've been together since, as I said, Youth on the Block. That was back in 1999. So, right. So the journey's continuing. I mean, nothing ain't perfect. I'm still struggling, but I'm getting through. We could be worse. So thank you.
Good night, ladies and gentlemen.
We're doing quite well. Just start to move toward the mics if you're going to speak, so that we can keep it flowing. Go ahead, ma'am.
Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Griffith, Madam Prime Minister, Mr. Springer, other cabinet members, members of Parliament. My name is Sandra Seeley, and I'm here on behalf of couple residents that are either in the elderly home care, companionship, or school monitors. They are asking this question, why it is that there are school monitors and the elderly care companionship and they are not being they're not having NIS taken out of their monies. They want to know that. And the next thing is that one particular young lady is telling me that if she has one client, she's only paid that specific amount of money for that day. So will that program will be continuing or not?
With respect to the NIS, Dale, we took a decision on this already, huh? Yeah, we've been paying the NIS because it started off as a temporary program, as you know, in the height of the pandemic. Once we realized it was going to go beyond a certain period of time, Cabinet agreed that NIS would have to come out. So I'm shocked that yours or whoever it is not getting theirs taken out, because the instructions certainly went from Cabinet, and the majority, as I know, were getting it taken out. But we'll check. We'll check tomorrow, don't fret, not yourself. And secondly, with respect to the length of the program, can't tell you, because a lot depends literally on our review of it, and a lot depends. Remember, these were programs put in place, and we said we were carrying you as far as we can until the private sector activity in the country can pick back up. Because what we're doing is really stretching ourselves beyond limits just to make sure that people can live and eat. And that's why you see me go around the world making the case all the time and arguing for more fiscal space and elbow space. The United States government did quantitative easing. What's that? A fancy word for printing money. You understand? UK, same thing. All the developed world, same thing. And then at the bottom, you had $12 billion in debt service suspension initiative for 80 poor countries. And then in the middle, 100 countries like Barbados that can't get nothing. So we're in the middle of fighting these battles. We're beginning to see a few green shoots, but we're not quite there yet. You understand? So like you, we can keep holding hands and holding you up, because on 166 square miles, all of us got to do everything to hold up each other. Okay? Give my assistant your number, and tomorrow when we check, we'll be able to give you an answer specifically. Okay. But as I said, Cabinet took that decision on the NIS months ago, so I would be the most shocked person.
I don't pay. This one is for Minister of Housing, Mr. Sutherland. I was hearing that Mr. Griffith was saying that the land in Bathland in St. John is at 10 cents a square foot. Is that so? Hi, good night. No. No.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, the land at Bath, that's land that's based on the freehold tenantries, where you can get that at it was $10, 10 cents, sorry, per square foot.
I'm seeking to buy the land in Collyton Landing Scheme in St. John, and they're telling me that I have to pay $250 a square foot. Let me get it straight.
That's the issue.
Some tenantries are plantation tenantries, and some are non-plantation tenantry. Dale Marshall will tell you, because he remembers from the days Bourne's Village in St. George, in my constituency, and in St. George North, pays $2.50 a square foot, because it's not a plantation tenantry under the schedule. So there were certain plantations that were listed when the legislation passed in the early 1980s, okay? And there are others that are not. And typically, it had to do with the scale of the ownership of the land and the tenantry, okay?
Yeah, because it is that my grandmother was living on that land and was paying in NHC for rental.
They will look at it, but I can tell you definitively that not all tenantries get at 10 cents a square foot. In fact, urban tenantries, all of St. Michael, Christchurch, and St. James, paying $2.50 a square foot. How do I know that? The 10 cents a square foot was introduced by Tom Adams. The $2.50 a square foot, when we came into office, Owen introduced it because of problems in Bush Hall, my constituency, where people in 1991 tried to sell the land at $5 a square foot, we recognize that the difference is that typically in smaller tenantries, the land is owned by multiple small owners, and it was varying from what Tom intended. With big plantations that benefited from the people's labor over time, Tom said 10 cents a square foot, they can carry the subsidy. With the $2.50 a square foot, more often than not, it was non-plantation tenantries owned by multiple small people. A man come to town, he tell his brother, his sister, his neighbor, and somebody come and hold on to them lots there. To ask him to sell the land to you at 10 cents a square foot and take the lash is to unfair him. So what we came up with in 1995-96 was a program, and over 3,000 Bajans have benefited from it in the urban corridors and the non-plantation tenantry corridors. And what, and then what? And bottom line is, so what we did was we said, look, the tenant will pay the $2.50 a square foot, but the landowner, more often than not, who is small, will get the fair market value. It started at $10, and then it was increased to $15. So the government pays the difference between the $2.50 and the $15 a square foot. And it's largely because the land is more in the commercial corridor, the land has a higher market value, and the land was not owned by a single large plantation that could afford to carry the subsidy. So that's the differential reason. Having said that, what I'm hearing you say is that NHC owned the land for some time. And if the NHC owned the land for some time, we will look at it. It may not be at 10 cents a square foot, but we will see what we can do, because at the end of the day, when government gets back in the money, we're plowing it back in. The next point that I want to make is that Ministry of Housing, NHC has over, 20-something thousand people on a database. So long as we can pull out those who are working, or those, even if they're temporary, but with the roof, as we just spoke to the young lady there, that immediately allows us to get the housing program moving like wildfire. And that is exactly why I said that I am so confident that we are on the verge of a major silent revolution in housing in this country. Okay? So on both matters, speak to my assistant, Ms. Cadogan, and she will give you the number, and we will check on the NIS and get back to you, and then Dwight will get back to you on the housing issue. Is that fair? Is that fair?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, my dear.
Good night. My name is Keel Trotman, and I'm from this constituency in the village of Clifton Hall in St. John. Keel Trotman. I have a question. In the budget speech this year, PMU said that the government is looking to move the retirement age for government workers from 33 and a third to 40 years. My question is, when will it come in effect from? When does it come in effect from?
It wasn't the age, it's the length of time that you work in government. Persons who become employees after January next year was the date I gave, I think, January 2023. And why? Look, we not only have problems with public service pensions, we have problems also with pensions overall. And we have to face reality that if we don't make the adjustments, Owen started, as you recall, the retirement age before Owen dealt with it was 65. You remember that? And it moved to 67 and a half. If we don't deal with it, all like you, Keel, will be in trouble by the time you come to retire. And therefore, it is up to us to deal with it. Mr. Barra was the first person to deal with the fact that people used to get 2 pensions, and Mr. Barra stopped it. You remember that? Mr. Barra stopped it in the 1970s. Tom also made some adjustments, and then Owen made some adjustments. Regrettably, I have to make some too. And we're doing it not because we don't like people, but we're trying to make sure that at the end of the day, if we say to you that if you do X, you can draw Y, you must be able to do it. And that's what brings stability to a Social Security scheme. So remember, these numbers are done not by us, by actuaries who run the numbers and make sure. I can tell you without fear of contradiction that public government pensions has been one of the largest growing items of expenditure in Barbados in the last 25 years. Okay? So, but guess what? People are living longer. And people are working longer and harder. So that whereas before you might have expected somebody not to live past 70 for the most part, people are living easily into the 80s and working longer and working better. And I think Sir George Ali, the former head of PAHO, said it best recently in the last few years. He's done a number of speeches about why it is important for us to understand that we effectively have an elderly economy that we need to support, and we need to have more young people coming in. And that's why we also have to confront the very difficult issue of immigration and also population, because we do not have enough young people coming to work every day to sustain either our quality of life or to sustain our social security scheme. Barbados is in population decline and workforce decline, and it is a national security issue if we're not careful.
Good evening, Madam Prime Minister, Honorable Member for St. John, Charles Griffith, and other persons. Okay, I am Miss Linda Hickson, and agriculture is my favorite love. I heard the Prime Minister have discussed many things about Guyana and Barbados with respect to agriculture. I have a very keen interest with respect to livestock and ruminants and forage utilization. So I just want to know what is the activity. Mr. Weir? Okay. Right. But, as a female, sometimes it's difficult to get into some programs. So I'm just wondering what is the requirements and how you go about going to be part of the program. And I have one more question after that.
No problem, you let him answer and then you continue.
Yes, please.
But the truth is that we're looking for people like you, so that's why I call him up fast.
Hello. Thank you, Prime Minister. Good evening, everyone. Ma'am, thanks for your question. Actually, at the AgriFest Friday, President Ali announced a program specifically designed for young people to participate in the project we're doing in Guyana, where 50 acres of land is being made available. And then here there are 3 programs we have. The feed program, which gives you an opportunity to do livestock and small ruminants as well. The program gives you 3 months of training so that you don't just do agriculture, but you understand business as well. Because you'll find out there are a lot of people who may go into agriculture, plant food, but they don't really treat it as a business and always would run into problems thereafter. So what we are doing is giving you 3 months of training. You learn business, you learn about agriculture as well, and then we put you on the land with all of the inputs. So if you get an acre of land, for example, that land comes to you with the water supply. You get the seedlings or the clean planting material, depending on what crops you're doing. If you're doing livestock, you get the land, you get the facilities for the animals, and you get the animals as well to start with.
Well, fortunately, I'm a graduate of the University of West Indies and I study agriculture. I'm now in my master level and I'm doing the tropical crop protection, which is respect to crop production. So basically what I need is the know-how to get going with my project. I have a lot of stuff on paper, a lot of different projects. I have done a lot of trials with chemicals and stuff, so I know my know-how. I have the good skill sets and stuff. It's just to get into activity. I had land at Point Basin, but I didn't work out because I bought about $6,000 in irrigation. I leave it there overnight. When I went back, it was gone. So I had to give up on that. And then I do a little moonlighting, like I live in Pool, so like the land right behind my house, I do a little moonlighting there. But I can only do that during the rainy season where, because sometimes it be like, during the dry season, it's very difficult to grow crops. So I only use the land during the wet season. So.
All right, we are familiar with each other. We had this conversation before, and we can sit down and work this out.
Thank you.
BAMC has land as well that it is not farming at the moment, as does BACT, not true? And what we are doing is literally trying to whittle it down by giving people who want access to land leases so that they can lease the land and go into production. In some areas, the water may be bad and therefore not there. We may have to look at something like aloes because there's a lot of money in aloes. What's it called? Aloes what? Barbadiensis. You understand? And we should be growing more of it, but looking for value-added product, which we're now discussing inside the ministry. So bottom line, ma'am, your interest is at the right time because we are trying to see how we can transfer more and more what is under state-owned enterprises into private hands through leasing so that they can have a chance at making the land productive. Once people are willing, we will work with you.
Good evening. My name is Naya Nayatu. I am a agronomist for the BAMC. I'm not a St. John resident, but I am actively involved in some of the projects that are mentioned by the Prime Minister and the Minister of Agriculture in St. John. Namely the feed project, the Naya Nayatu, NYAH, All right, so only this afternoon, we would have gone over to the Henley and towards the area where people are actually using the land right now. In an effort to regularize them, we would have measured the plots, realized that they've been farming for over 8 years, making a contribution to agriculture, marketing on their own. So we want to help them as much as possible with things like the seedlings and irrigation. The said irrigation that's coming from the Henley plantation. We plan to explore this. But I just want to reassure the people that have been starting the farming that there's assistance coming. I was feeling another question for the guys that I carry at St. John Bath. I would want to suggest to them, as opposed to be coming and cultivating land 2 or 3 times, maybe they may look at planting some cane in September, something to hold the land and work a set, because it's obviously that they can't work the entire 20 acres. So I just want to reassure the residents of St. John that we are here to help them. We've got a various number of programs. I've spoken to a number of youngsters, a quarter acre at a time, sometimes an acre up to an acre. So there's help coming for agriculture. I know Ms. Hinkson personally, and I know her situation. So we just need to have a conversation about what you want to do, where you want to go, and what the agencies can provide.
And I want to thank you for taking the initiative of talking, because at all levels, people need to be reinforcing the message. Yesterday was when we were in Henley, and I'm glad that you all were able to follow up as quickly as today to make sure that we get the land into those people in a lease. And similarly, the ones that work in down Bath that have been doing and keeping the land in such wonderful state cannot be viewed as squatters. We need to regularize the situation and give people the leases and let people. I would like every square inch on the ground and every square inch of fence, because the fence can take what? Cucumbers and squash and passion fruit and all them vines going up. And we've also agreed now that we're going to go into the aquaculture too, and we're going to bring the people to do some training here for those who are interested in it. Okay? Yes, sir.
Good night. I just come to thank you, Mayor, for the good work that has been done. This is a couple of years now I've been in St. John. I was begging with the buckets of water for almost 4 years, like 5. Garbage collect once every 2 months. And I thank you. While traveling, I make a joke at Caribbean country to see trucks and big trucks picking up garbage. When I return to my country, they see same thing being done here. It's a good thing to never laugh and make much sport about it. And I thank you, Nigel Belgrave. You did a lot. You did some things for me. I come here because I still want you did some things for me. And I thank you because people like you that never look past people like me. And maybe we can get a job in this country. We're going to make it possible that we get one. And I thank you for that with all of my heart. And that's something I always plan to do. You're the best boy at running the country now. When I had to wait 5 hours, I left work at 3 o'clock in this country to get a bus. When they saw all hope going down the drain, you come and make it possible again. And I thank you for that. You could do 1,000 bad, 1,000 good, and do 1 bad. Everybody cry down. And you run this country. Well, I don't want to compare with nobody, but yes, the best for me so far. You're helping the youth, and that's very good. And you did a lot. And 1 step at a time. Now the water getting a little shaky, but I don't have to be in a bucket no more. I can home for the evening. And the little children could get a bath. I could go home and still and cook. We can do that 1 time. We got to save water in this country to start back to cook. We start back going to sandpipe, but I turn it off. But you come and make it possible for people in St. John. They don't want you to get the seat, but you get it. And you know where you get it? Because your good works and to see what's going on. Huh? You're perfect, all right. In Corona, he come out and he did feed the people with children, so that's very good. Because some people are batting it hard, and that's very good. And I thank you for that too. And even after Corona, that's very good. When people are searching for a job for a couple of months, you come and give a job in my home and make things more easier for me. And I thank you for that. It started from 3 months, now it's 3 extra months. And every little bit you have to give thanks in life for. Because other people didn't do it for me. At all, nothing. Nothing. And that's all I come to tell you. Thanks for the good work you're doing to this country. And I hope you run for a many long time. And keep up your good work.
Thank you, but let me also make it clear, and I thank people, but this is a team effort. And we could not do it unless the team here pulling weight. And that's where you hear my favorite phrase is many hands do what? Make light work. And it's not just the team in government, it's the team in the public servants. They would tell you that when I ready, I get on very bad. You understand? But they know that I don't got the malice in me. Because all I want us to do is push past the pain to get to a point. I mean, I said to somebody, you know, we really had sweet life the first time we were in government. But this time round, it isn't a sweet life at all. The world is in a different place. And we got to try to help each other to make it through. When the water rough, the most important thing is to keep your head where? Above water.
You're making it better.
Yeah, we gonna hold on.
You're going to hold on. And show them that you can enjoy it too. Yeah, and keep up your next words.
Thank you, love.
Put credits one side and keep positive all the time.
Thank you.
All right, Jimmy.
Good night to everyone. A special good night to my Prime Minister, Miss Motley. I come to ask 2 things. The first, Carla Simpson, Society Hill, St. John. Simpson. I come to ask 2 things. 1, to be taken seriously. And 2, I would like some help in developing a piece of agricultural land at Bath in St. John. For the past 11 months, I have been trained, but it's bare than is at a meeting.
Shanta, come. I want you to talk to that lady over there. I can't make no promises, but we can try. Okay? And we've been trying. You've heard us say that we've tried to help a lot of people already with land, and the truth is that a quarter acre, half acre, we can try to help and put a leasing arrangement in place. All I asking people to do is two things. I've asked Dale, I forgot to tell you, that we put a clause in there that where people don't work the land for a year, it come back to government, the lease break. Because I'm not agreeing that people should have land and not work it. And then secondly, that you pay the little bit of pittance that we're charging for it so that we keep the thing rolling over. That's all.
But as it is right now, I am one of those who has been labeled a squatter.
We can deal with all these squatters, my brethren, because, look, we inherited a difficult situation. What I don't want the parish speaks to come up, I can deal with all of you. And the gentleman earlier perhaps didn't quite understand that I don't want people to have to put out the business in public, but that the system must work. And Dale, we were in meetings today making the same point again, that people must be able to get through in this country without knowing somebody and without calling for a favor. The system must work to give people opportunity and access. And that's what we're working towards. Okay?
Good night, Madam Prime Minister. Minister Griffith. My name is Michael Greenwich. I reside at Lovell Road, Messiah Street, St. John. I really come to speak about agriculture, but Mr. Griffith would remember that I spoke to him about the condition of Lovell's Road, Messiah Street, St. John. It was paved between 1966 and 1968. Lovell's Road, Messiah Street, St. John.
That's one of the roads, Mr. Tudor, that is being done to do later this year. So 1968 will become 2022.
I thank you very much for that, ma'am. So I can move on to my agriculture situation. I have a half acre of land that I am presently farming. I'm into pigs and rabbits, but I'm struggling with it to keep it going, because the dry season has taken a toll on the water bill. And I would really want to know who I should speak to. I already indicated to the agriculture minister that I need to have a word with him. But I also want to have a word with Mr. Griffith. When you came to St. John, ma'am, you told me, give you the vote and watch you. I have done that on 2 occasions. I am still watching you. So I should blame Charles then?
No. You should thank Charles. I'm saying that you're getting the road this year. Mm-hmm. So he told you correctly to watch him. You can get the road. And in relation to the water, can I ask you a question? Were you paying a BADMC? Where's Indar? Were you paying a BADMC rate, or are you paying?
No, ma'am. I am paying.
So therefore, you are one of the ones who will become one of the beneficiaries of the new agricultural tariff, because you would have been paying at $4 and how much per cubic meter for the first 20 cubic meters, Mr. Halliday, and yours has now been reduced to $1.80 per cubic meter. So you will be saving $3 per cubic meter going forward.
Is there anything I have to do?
No. They have to do it, and it's causing me to wonder why they haven't done it yet.
Because Charles has not visited my site as yet.
No, that had nothing to do with Charles, though. You got Charles in your crawl. All right? What happened? It should have been reduced. It's going to be reduced to $1.80, and it should have been done already. Mr. Halliday? So what it says, as a registered farmer, contact the ministry, And once you do that, then the 180 will kick in. You registered?
I have my farmer's ID and everything.
No problem, but go to the ministry and just tell them that you want to be able to access the new tariff at 180 per cubic meter. The ones who would have been disadvantaged are the ones who were paying BADMC 66 cents per cubic meter for the last 40 years. And as much as I would like to give them that, in order to be able to help all the other farmers and all the other people, we had to settle at 180 per cubic meter, which is $1.80 for 220 gallons.
All right, one final thing, ma'am.
Yep.
The Society Plantation.
Yes, sir.
Which is right in my immediate area. Is all about a cowage farm. I mean, as far as I know, it's owned by Codrington College. And it is not being cultivated.
Okay. All right, no problem. We'll have a quiet word with them and help them. Don't worry about it. Thank you for raising it.
I worry about it because the college
No, I know.
It's right all now.
What I'm saying is thank you for raising it. I will ask the Minister of Agriculture to work with the Codrington College and to see what we can do to help them, because at the end of the day, Codrington College isn't an entity that's making money when the day comes. You understand? It's a charitable institution, so government will have to help them.
I thank you, ma'am.
But I thank you for raising it with us, because without that, we wouldn't know about it.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
So, please.
The conversation going. We are heading toward 8:30, which means that we are coming toward the end. So make your points, make them brief, and let's keep as many going as possible.
Hi, good evening all. My name is Carrie Ann Jessamy. I actually reside in St. Joseph, but I have had the privilege of living in St. John as well. So I've heard persons speak tonight as it relates to agriculture and the water woes. And when I think of water woes, we have to ask the question are we managing our water resources sustainably, because we're using potable water for agriculture? And the question I ask is, have we studied looking into catchments? We have a lot of water runoff. We know that Barbados is water scarce. So when we look at it, we are going to have impacts from climate change. So we're going to have longer droughts, and we're going to have more 1 in 100 systems. But when those systems come, we're going to have larger amounts of water dumping. Have we considered looking into catchments? So when we look into catchments, this rainwater then can be captured, and it can be used two ways. We can harvest it for agricultural purposes, or we can also think about aquifer recharging. So we recharge our aquifers with the water from the catchments. The other thing is we can also look at rainwater harvesting. So we know that with town planning, if you're building a house, you have to have storage systems for capturing rainwater. So based on the size of the square footage, we have to look at up to like 3,000 gallons for capture. But if I live on, let's say, 4,000 to 6,000 square foot of land, it's not much for agriculture. But however, I have to have a 3,000 gallon storage system for rainwater harvesting. What really do I do with the excess water? So if I store the water, is it possible for government to look into coming and taking the water from me? Because if I have 3,000 and it overflows, then it just overflows. So can it be a case that government looks into taking the water from me where it can be used for irrigation and somewhere else that needs it? Another thing that also can be considered is persons that, I had some notes. Oh, right. In terms of the sewage system. So we have 2 sewage treatment plants. And I think that we only do either primary or secondary treatment. We can also look into tertiary treatment. So with the tertiary treatment, the water can be reused. Nobody wants to consider drinking treated water. But the water then can, like I said before, recharge aquifers, or it can be used for agriculture purposes. So that's something then that I say we because I'm a government worker, but we as a government can look into to help farmers as well. So we don't use potable water for those purposes, and the potable water can be used for drinking purposes. Another point that I was thinking is we're talking about 10,000 houses. And we're talking about photovoltaic systems paying for the land and giving back to the person so that the persons don't have, everybody can have access to housing. But can we also look into dual systems where we also capture the water, and the water that we capture can be used only for flushing of toilets? Really, right now, we are taking potable water to flush toilets. That's drinking water. So when I think about it, these houses that are currently being built can be the pilot projects for the dual systems. So we take the water from water harvesting, and we only use it for flushing toilets. In the instance that the tank runs dry because of a long drought period, then we have to fill them with potable water. But for right now, we don't have to, because we are harvesting rainwater for those purposes. Thanks.
Yes, we don't go so far. Where you working? At where?
NCC.
So you should be working at BWA.
I did a master's in water resource management.
What the hell are you hearing? Mr. Holly, just keep the names in on a file for me, please. Look, what you said, I can let Rama speak, but we could say ditto.
Yes. Ms. Jessamy, I for a moment I thought you were listening our discussions that we're having on the South Coast sewage plant. We are actually in talks discussing the upgrade of the sewage plant to a tertiary treatment facility. And that way we can produce affluent that is of a quality that it can be used to recharge the aquifers. And we are also thinking about having an 18-kilometer force main that would move that treated water from the South Coast into St. Philip, into the same river plantation, into that area to help fill the pond as well as to recharge the aquifer. So those are things that are already in the works. So these are coming online. Also, when you speak of dual plumbing, that is also something that we are going to be encouraging going forward, where we're going to encourage persons to use the grey water. And you will be familiar with grey water, wastewater. Treat that water and perhaps use that water to use in agriculture. So all these things that you've discussed this evening are things that we are discussing on a weekly basis in BWA. And we're working hand in glove with Ministry of Agriculture to ensure that this water is made available for farming. And also, there's also a proposal to build a retention pond here in Clifton Hall, so we can have that British water also captured. It will assist with the drainage issues that you're having, but it will also can be captured and used at some point for agriculture. So we're all, we are very much aligned in terms of our ideas for what we can do to preserve what little water we are getting these days. So thank you for your intervention. I know you from engaging with you through the NCC, the various programs. I'm seeing your face for the first time, and hearing your voice. And just like Prime Minister, I also agree that we need the type of skill set that you have acquired in our department, in our ministry, to help as we go forward and plan out our water. Thank you, Ms. Jessamy.
Good night, everyone. My name is Mia. There is a lady came up here tonight and talked about people that Cullimore, and talked about people that are over 50 that are qualified that are unemployed. So what about the young people like me that are overqualified and don't have anything to do?
I think that's why you see us, look, as I said at the beginning, we're living in a very difficult time. And we're trying to be able to get things going. Barbados has seen effectively a collapse of the private sector in the economy because of COVID. When you lose 90% of tourists coming, you literally impact farmers, retailers, wholesalers, almost everything in the country. And if the government was not able to expand and to be able to temporarily take on people to help, we can't do it for everybody, but we've done it for quite a few people in the ASH program, in the primary school monitors program, in the COVID monitoring unit, etc., etc. What we're trying to do now is to unlock projects. So take, for example, we have the job fair. Well, before I get to the job fair, we have Sam Lord's Castle, the hotel that is on that side. It's not going to be called Sam Lord's, but Wyndham. That will finish probably by late this year, soft opening, full opening by early February. That's what, 800-900 people, 1,000 people going to be employed. Persons need to have skills in the tourism sector in order to go there. We have also the opportunity that we've gone out, and Minister Lisa Cummins has worked hard with the chair of the Barbados Tourism Marketing, Ms. Williams, in order to get the cruise ships that we helped. Remember when I asked you all to let us help the cruise ships at the height of COVID? Well, the benefits come back to us now because they're prepared to engage Bajans, and we want that as an interim measure because the other hotels that will be built will still take 2 years to build. So we still need somewhere for people to be able to work in the interim. I've also asked that we start looking for employment in other areas, but similarly, we have, as I said, people who are looking for us to boost up and train people in cybersecurity. We're looking at a range of things now. We've just started, where's Kate? The Construction Gateway program has just under 400 people being trained as we speak because we expect we're going to have a shortage of construction workers very soon, given the pipeline of projects that we see ahead of us in terms of housing, in terms of renewable energy, in terms of hotels, in terms of other enterprises. So the question is, where are you for locating yourself? Charles has an innovative thing that he's done here with the seamstresses. I told him call it a fashion hub because I don't know of many other communities that have people who are who are seamstresses coming together and doing design work being put in one location. So the question is, what do you want to do, ma'am? And to make sure, I'll leave you with this. When I first started, I learned early that you got to give a person a reason to hire you. If your belly hurting you, who you go to? If you need your roof fixed, who you go to? If you need the toilet and the sink fixed, who you go to? If you want to laugh and have sport, what you do? Listen to a comedian or sometimes go to a show. You understand? You have to give people, and this is the kind of straight talk I want us to do as a nation. That's why these sessions, to me, are the most important part of my job now, because it gives me a chance to also engage with you. I want to hear you, but there are few home truths that we need to accept too. And that is that we need to give people a reason to hire you beyond luck. Okay? And that is, if I need to eat, what I can do? Go and buy food from somebody. So what is it that you are going to do that will cause a man or a woman to go in the pocket or the purse and pull out the money and pay you? There has to be a reason that you give them. And then the second part of it is, am I giving them good enough service that they won't come back to me another time? Because if I ain't giving them good service and I ain't talking, remember what the lady told us just now, that if she was to answer some of the men the way how they treat her, she would have to what? Leave. She won't get to see her Savior at all. So that is an indication that all of us know. If somebody give you bad service somewhere, you're going back to them. So what is the golden rule? What does it tell you? Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. So I hope that we are giving you the opportunities for training. As I said, the National Transformation Initiative is providing over 15,000 courses free of charge. Pick some that hopefully will give you an opportunity to earn locally and to give you a reason, either one, to be employed, or two, to go into self-employment. What I'm trying to do as well, we've unlocked a number of funds that are off budget. You heard me talk earlier about the Industrial Credit Fund with Mr. Savory, and to be able to give people opportunities. You got the trust loan program. You borrow up to $5,000, you pay it back, you can go and borrow up to $10,000. If you want to go above that, fund access, which we hopefully will have to probably recapitalize at some point in another year or so. That's also there to be able to help people do what you want to do. So can't give you perfection, but I can give you an opportunity and a pathway. Okay? That can work?
Yeah.
Especially with a name like Mia, it should be able to work.
But it's Mia Amor to be precise.
Oh, Lord.
Thank you.
Thank you, my namesake.
Can I get an indication by hands how many other people are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Okay. All right. So let's get going.
Good evening, Prime Minister. Good evening, Mr. Charles, our representative. My name is Ernest Harris, and I'm from Edgecliff St. John. I actually want to thank you for the initiative for bringing the program to help the artisans to improve their skill, and also who are not artisans to join the team. The reality is that we have a serious problem in Barbados with shortage of artisans. And I hear people here talking about looking for work and stuff, but the reality, we need skilled workers. Up till last week, I was looking for workers, masons and carpenters, and can't find any. So there's a definitely demand for artisans in this country. So people get on board, learn a skill, and join the program. The truth is that I have took a look at the program because I even invited my son to be a part of it. And the program is designed to encourage you not only the skill, but to develop you all-around person, teach you about income tax, teach you even to be an entrepreneur, to manage your own business. So here you're going to learn a skill, and they're going to teach you how to be self-employed. So there's a great opportunity there for people in that program, and I want to encourage people to join it because Barbados have a serious shortage of artisans. I can tell you, because I'm in the construction business, I also hire people as well, and sometimes there's a hard time in finding artisans. And when I talk about artisans, I mean good ones. And also another thing that I want you to pay attention to, we like young people, but in construction, young people is a high risk. So what I want a part of your program is that health and safety must be taught to these persons to come in construction. It is not as simple as you may sound. It's a risky business as well, and we find that the younger people take the biggest risk. We also promote PPE, but it's more than just the gear that you're wearing. It's the things that you do every day that makes a difference. And the thing is that I always tell people on my job, I want you to go back home the same way you came, because I want you to go back home safe and sound to take care of your family. So let health and safety be a part of that program that you introduce to the young people to let them know the importance of being safe on a construction site. I thank you.
That comment, and just letting you know that it is our intention to allow health and safety to be a part of that program. In fact, it is built into some of the programs, not all of them. In addition to that, we are also including a citizenship module, which not only teaches them the skill, but then you start to learn how do you now contribute actively and positively using the skill you now have as a citizen of Barbados and even beyond that. So it is looking at the skill, it is giving them the practical training because they have job attachments, and on those job attachments, the story of health and safety is reinforced during that job attachment. And you were saying something? And then, of course, there's the citizenship module. In addition, those persons who participate in this program will get all of their gear, their shoes, all of the safety equipment as well. And we will make sure that at the end of it, they get their tools for the particular trade to which they belong. So we are taking a holistic approach to the way we are implementing this program. Yes, the Prime Minister is reminding me that while we are providing the tools, etc., that we are taking a small bit out of their stipend so that they're investing in themselves and they realize that they are vested in the program as well.
Hi, good night. I'm Melissa Haynes from number 2 Pool Line, St. John. I would like a street light at the bus stop for number 2 Pool Line. And number 1 Pool Line have critters in the road. Another thing I came to ask of Auntie Mia and her colleagues to stop, see if they can stop the stigmatization of the workers that are doing a great job, the week on and week off workers, whereby people are saying they want the work, but yes, a person would want work, but under their conditions they are being worked under. Now I have observed there are no toilet facilities to facilitate ladies with their menstrual cycle, and to facilitate the guys who would like to do, you know what, the number 2. I spoke to a team leader there. I was on my way to work. I work in public sector, and I felt really hurt to know I have 20 years in the public sector for she to tell me that they're saying to us, we want the work, so take it as it is. And that is not good for people that are doing a great job in this country. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I can assure you that that's not the attitude of the government, and that anyone who told you that, I apologize that they told you or anybody else that, because this party is a labor party. And one, it therefore responds as we speak. The Minister of Labor is in Geneva at the International Labor Organization, dealing and defending the right to decent work. Mr. Trudeau, I think we need to look at some kind of mechanism, but I come into that. In the same way that our first rubbing shoulders started in Applewood's tenantry in 2016. And we discovered then that agricultural workers, particularly the women in the fields, for centuries were not given any kind of support systems. That only changed in this country last year when we put together, and sorry, Indar had to leave because there's a fire in his constituency. But Indar and the Barbados Workers Union came together, and we were able to put those kitchenettes and bathroom facilities in trailers, which are now being used across the country. We may not be able to do that because the 30 constituencies that the ash work is working in, but we can certainly have the chemical toilets located in the general districts where they're working, because more often than not, they tend to spend a few days in an area cleaning, don't they? So we can move the 30 chemical toilets. So Ms. Haynes, it was? Thank you, dear. I know that that is not the attitude to be reflected by the government. Thank you.
Good night, everyone. Good night, Madam Prime Minister. Name is Andrew Callender. Over the past 10 years or so, I've never had any problems with the Ministry of Agriculture until about 3 weeks ago. To cut a long story short, it's the plant quarantine. And I don't believe that it will ever go back. Thank you very much.
I assume that you won't talk to me after, so you can either do it now or after, but I don't know.
After.
And we'll do it after, because I think this is your acute sense of fairness also playing in. And I'm glad too, because the first time I had a meeting with plant quarantine was yesterday, and the Ministry of Agriculture on these matters, so I look forward to talking to you.
Of MP 304. Could you shift, please, so the minister can get out and get to his emergency in St. Philip, please? Minister of Agriculture vehicle, unfortunately.
Thank you. Hello, good night. My name is Oshandi Phillip, and I'm from Bathland, or from both the areas, technically, St. John. Oshondy. Oshondy. Philip. 2 L's and no S. So I have a bit of a suggestion. I'm wondering if a solution can be found towards the youth empathy that we seem to have towards events like this, because no offense, majority of the persons who spoke and who are speaking are quite mature. And your issues are quite vital, but you're all quite mature, and the poster emphasized the youth. So maybe we need to tackle the apathy the youth have towards these things. Generally, not just St. John. Thank you.
Thank you. I can actually tell you, Oshandi, that I had a meeting this morning with Kirk Humphrey and Corey Lane, both from the Ministry of People Empowerment. There's something that we want to launch as a companion to cater to younger people called a season of reasoning. And to do the season of reasoning every other Wednesday night in different communities across Barbados, so that we can reach out to young people, and they will be the face of it, alternating. So every other Wednesday, a season of reasoning. And you may take a song, 3 songs, you may take 3 Boudreaux songs, you might take a movie, you might take some other topic that's topical, and we sit down and we reason under a tent or near where they're liming or whatever and gathering. Rather than asking them to come into schools, we come into you. Because you will note that it is engagement that is what is going to build active citizenship in this country and make this country a better country. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Good night, Madam Prime Minister, members of Cabinet, invited guests from St. John residents. My name is Junior Giddens. I'm from the Bay Tabernacle, Martins Bay, St. John. And I am here tonight to engage you guys pertaining to small businesses in St. John. What I would like to say, and the entrepreneurial spirit is alive in St. John, and there is great potential to be tapped from the people in St. John. Unfortunately, I'm not here to throw any fire onto anyone, but the support mechanisms that is needed for St. John that is far away from the mainstream where tourism lies is seriously lacking. I can speak to that from my end because last tourism season that would have just finished, one of the premier transfer people in the industry would have made a call to me to ask me the status of the roads down on the East Coast in St. John. I would have checked with my MTW depot to find out, and he would have checked to see that some of the roads and some of the areas where the trees were overhanging were taken away. Unfortunately, not of those buses came as far as St. John Church. I never ventured down in my neck of the woods. If they did, they didn't come in the area. No. My history with Martins Bay is a long one, and it goes back, way back, and has some issues that still needs to be settled. And I'm not meaning to be a political, but when I am not a resident of St. John, I came to St. John, saw the potential, and we started to work. But as I said, I've been pilloried between parties, and I'm not a member of any party. I like to call it as I see it. That be as I just state for the record. But the area of St. John has great potential, is known all over the world, and we need some engagement to get us to this level. As I'm saying, us in small business, some of us in St. John are in the departure lounge at this present moment. And I'm speaking not only for me, but others too as well. And if we don't need financial handle, we just need engagement that can help make the experience of us being in business a little better. And that's all I'm asking for at this moment. I would like, as I said, my name, I just mentioned it. If there's anyone who can come on board, because my business employs most of the people from St. John. Whenever people come from overseas, they engage us. We offer something that works with the agricultural area in St. John. Most of the food we sell is locally grown, and we get most of it from St. John. We push Barbadian food in a different way, and we continue to develop as we go along, but we are held bound by the infrastructure challenges that St. John have. And as I said, I'm not here to throw fire on anyone, but we need engagement to get us to the next level. And I want to thank you guys for hearing me. Thank you.
Mr. Giddens, I think we know one another well. And that particular area is earmarked under the Scotland district, so just rest easy. All of that will be taken care of. I know that. Right, it's the second road to be fixed. Yeah.
But the designs were not completed.
Exactly. So right now, White Hill is first, Andromeda to Bath, including Martins Bay, will be sorted. And Shorey Village.
Then it is Andromeda to Bath and White Hill.
Being said, time is of the essence pertaining to us in Martins Bay. And
let me explain to you, therefore.
Yes.
Because we don't got the money put down.
Thank you.
We got to borrow the money from China. The Chinese came through, and you saw me sign a document about 6 weeks ago that basically told us that we would be able to get the money at 2% interest, which is next kin to nothing compared to what we would have to borrow from other people. Secondly, they've now, the Exim Bank has come in now and everything is ready, AG? There's some queries up to today. We anticipate, and the designs are being done, Mr. Tudor, on those other roads, including the Andromeda to Bath. So as much as I want to do like Elizabeth in Bewitched, because you all like me. So as much as I want to twiggle my nose and say, let it happen overnight, there's a process. And let me be very clear. There was no road or no infrastructure. In fact, I go further. Town planning had stopped all development in St. John and the Scotland district when I came into office. Not true, Mr. Tudor? And I had to lift the development cessation order because the people of St. John, St. Joseph, and other parts of Scotland district were being deprived of anything because of the erosion. They were to have done a study. They never did it. You go in Glenburnie and you see what happened. Land falling away in the ocean. You understand? So I'm saying to you that, believe you me, we came in, we've engaged with the Chinese government. It's $230 million at 2%. We had to find the source of money. We're in the middle of an IMF program. We're in the middle of 3 crises. But in spite of that, the road is going to come. So hold tight, my brother. You hold tight. You move from a small shop to a big shop. Hold tight. We're going to move from a bad road to a good road.
More than that, though, it started before you came in, so my apologies to you. I got you. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Okay.
Yeah, good night. Yeah, my name is Desmond Mullen. My son's name is Deshaun Gibson. Desmond Mullen. Mullen. All right. My son has some medical problems from the time he was about 7 years old. He went to Eversley. Then after he was out of school because of the medication he was taking. He went away, had an amputation, came back last year. When I spoke to the teacher, she said that Deshaun was 15 when he came back. She said that he would have to do classes in order to do exams, right? My issue is that since then I've been looking for a tutor. I haven't found a tutor for Deshaun. Deshaun is just at home. And my thing is that other children, Deshaun, have medical problems, which needs that they say needs to be looked into.
Mr. Mullen, the Minister of Education is here. I want you to go on site and you talk to her directly so that she can try to see how we can assist you. Okay? And thank you so much for sharing. Okay? Thank you, sir.
Good night, everyone. My name is Myrico Morris. I'm the president of the Welch and Barflan Community Group. I also reside in Welch, as Oshandi said, Barflan, same place. 2 queries. With respect to the agricultural project that is going on at Bath St. John, persons within the communities have asked if a portion of that land can be allocated to some of the junior farmers for their development purposes. We have a number of youngsters in the community that are well into animal husbandry. A couple of them even showcased at AgriFest this weekend. However, they have no area to expand their production or even try anything new. Secondly, persons are also asking about the actual title deeds for the tenantry land in Welch Village. They have gone forward. They have gone forward and paid, received the receipt. However, the legal process has not started up till now since they've paid some time back. So no one has yet received a title deed, even though they have a receipt for the land that they have paid.
Thank you, Myrico, for the input. I will follow up on both of the areas because I have been in contact with Minister Indarware in relation to the Bath project, so that can be easily rectified. Prime Minister is constantly trying to ensure that we can convey the land at Welch for those persons who would have paid up. So I will speak to Minister Sutherland in relation to that. So your issues will be dealt with, rest assured.
Okay. All right, thank you.
We are at 5 minutes before 9 o'clock. So do we have additional questions, queries, comments? Yes. So I take it this is the final comment. Is there anyone else? Okay, so the gentleman who speaks now is the final one, and then the Prime Minister and the other members of the panel will wrap up.
Good night, Madam Prime Minister, Constituency Representative, Mr. Springer, members of Cabinet, government officials, those present and those watching. I'm very impressed with what I'm seeing, Mr. Prime Minister. It's a wonderful initiative. Very, 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 very impressed. Junior Marys. Yeah. No, I'm just taking it in. Honestly, I'm just taking it in. I'm very impressed. Yes, I am. College Land St. John, to be specific. I came here with so many things to say and so many things to ask. For self, among other things, but I'm very impressed with some of the initiatives. And I must compliment you also on, making such a footprint on the world landscape, being among the 100 most influential leaders. That's awesome. Well, I'll sacrifice my concerns and raise some of the community because there are many concerns in the community. And I've heard a blessing of resources in St. John that I never knew existed. It's good. All right, first I'll raise a concern as it pertains to St. John Primary School. There seems to be a mold problem at St. John's Primary School, and there's very little being said about it. It is causing some concerns among parents and guardians and children as well, who laments their concerns of itching and so forth. I read in the paper sometime last week that the Ministry of Education had sent a team or have acquired the services of a team to investigate such an issue. But the building that they had came initially to vet wasn't
necessarily the building that presented the challenge at that time, even though that building of itself do have a problem, but it seems like it was suppressed, for want of a better word. Noted. I was made to understand that there were several investigations carried out on that mold problem over the past 5 years or so. But I would love better ventilation to be happening, educating or informing the parents or guardians of those children what is going on. I'm sure that Charles is aware of it. In addition to that, I drive by the school daily, and I see parents and guardians also shading the sun. Some is almost entering into the burning ground to avoid the sun, which is going down west. And those leaving is heading even further east, where the sun has gone down. I am thinking that it would only be prudent if 2 bus sheds can be erected to facilitate some shade for those children when leaving school and their parents and guardians when they come to collect them.
Can I make a suggestion, please?
Sure.
Can I ask you and Charles and others who are community-minded to raise the funds or to get the wood and to put up the bus shelters? Because if we need communities to meet us partway.
For sure.
Because if we try to do everything, then everything can't get done. So I will help you and Charles, and whatever you have a fundraiser, I come in to support it, to help buy the wood, and then we're going to arrange for the men to put it up, and over a weekend or a couple of weekends, and cook some pot of food. I know that my friend here in Pot House would agree with me, that short there, they will be able to help us sell some food to the people who cooking, who doing the work. But I don't mean this facetiously, but I'm saying it as a guide to other communities, that small things that communities can do, many hands make light work. So I thank you, sir, for raising it for us. The mold, we can take care of. Okay?
Okay. Well,
and the community, the PTA and the community and the MP, if we can come together in a partnership, let me have a fundraiser, let me beg for some of the wood and the materials, and let us put it together and show Bajans what can happen when we work in partnership.
All right. I appreciate what you're saying, and thank you very much for that. Thank you profusely. I must emphasize for that. I had raised the concern with Charles, who's there smiling from ear to ear, and as a small businessman within the community myself, I've decided to offer my assistance. So I did say to him I'll place some resources at his disposal so that we can get this initiative up and going. Notwithstanding that, because there's so many things that I would love to raise, there seems to be a large issue in Barbados as it relates to acquiring land, and especially within the area of the tenantry areas. I'm impressed. I must emphasize this, and I must congratulate you, Charles, on this one. I heard the youngster before me spoke about land at Bath, Welch, of which they have paid money to acquire this land, and yet they're still awaiting title deeds. Mm-hmm. I was the first person who initiated that program in the early 2000s. I was a welfare officer then, and going to those communities and hearing people seeking assistance, but not having the requisite requirements which land permission would have required, which was a prerequisite then, for sure. So I confronted, or I had a conversation with the Ministry of Housing and Lands. I think Ms. Burrows was her name, who was there at the time. And we had a nice meeting at Bath. I remembered it quite vividly. And to hear now that, that you have done such marvelous works in helping those persons to now acquire land, that's wonderful. That's really wonderful. Regarding the tenantries, though, national housing, I've heard many concerns being raised. There's also one at Covenant College that needs urgently to be addressed. Persons have even had to pay for their
surveying in order to purchase the land at tenantry's freehold purchase at price. And there are many others who are still awaiting to have this done. Even though that these lands were surveyed by the ministry years ago, I have spoken to the former chief land surveyor who had done that surveying there also, and he emphasized that there was no reason for the lands to be surveyed anymore. So I'm asking you, Charles, and I know that you're aware because I have conversation with Mr. Soberies, who is the head over that program, and he have said to me that he have had conversation with you. So I'm asking you urgently, to make haste, because land is the most precious resource that we have human beings have. And if we are being deprived or ignored, I think that's one of the greatest atrocities that we as humans can ever face. Yeah, so I really plead with you to, make haste. Pardon? Okay.
Right. As you rightly mentioned, with Dr. Sobers in relation to the lands at Codrington College, because when I was canvassing, a whole range of persons within the area indicated that they're still renting. Subsequent to that, a letter was sent from the trust to the Ministry of Housing and copied to me. And I know that the surveying work would have started in the area. This is the Codrington Trust. So surveying work is continuing now, and those persons will be able to purchase the land soonest. So discussions are on the way. The land surveyors from the Ministry of Housing are on the lands in Codrington College doing the survey work.
There's other concerns regarding tenantries. I think with the glebe, there's some name that they call it. The Hodgson Trust. I can't remember it now. But when I was working in government, in those kind of areas, there are people who are finding it very hard to get assistance via government because the fact that they are living on these lands for many years. Some may be considered squatters and some might be considered bona fide tenants, but they're still being placed at a disadvantage. So you need to really look into these kind of matters.
Now you see why I say they call us Electrolux, because all of these tenantries have existed for centuries, and we have come in and we've made it a point of action to try to get as many of the tenantries conveyed as possible, because as you keep hearing me say, rent is dead money. From the time rent money left your hand, it's dead. So with the best will in the world, we're going to continue doing it, but in some instances, as you correctly pointed out, some is church land, some is, in the case of Codrington Trust, some is plantation land, and some is government land. So we'll take multiple approaches, but the Ministry of Housing is working on all fronts to deal with as many as possible. And the big one, I think, we started a preliminary conversation with the church, but we have to continue it to see how best they can also help in the issue. And they have glebe lands in many parishes. Dale, you're well aware of the issue with glebe land in St. George as well, too. Okay?
Just call it a day. I had a business. I don't even know to say I have had. I don't know. I'm lost for myself. Anyhow, I had raised this matter with Charles, whereas I had a business initiative that I wanted to embark upon, and it required the use of a government facility that is no longer being occupied. I wrote the permanent secretary of the ministry, of which I was made to understand was responsible for this premises. I got no response, and I did this over 3 years. Today, I have no response. I traveled to the Prime Minister's office. I left a message because I wanted your input on it, Ms. Prime Minister. On raising this initiative, this business plan, I spoke to a couple of friends of mine. And within about 4 to 6 weeks, I had over $100,000 placed in my hand to make an investment. I became so frustrated. I even had talks with a previous minister of your government, your cabinet. I was under so much stress, just being spun around like a yo-yo, that my blood pressure skyrocketed. Miss Brown will tell you about that, Dr. Brown.
I then found it necessary to go and to give back this money because I was going nowhere. I even offered to carry out repairs on this structure belonging to government at my cost just to get the business up and going. No response to date. Are we really serious about business?
I like to think so. And the bottom line is that if you did not hear, that's why I now have a director of citizen engagement. I get on average how many letters a day, Roy? Hundreds.
I don't know that. I don't know.
Hundreds per month. And in the middle of COVID, anything could have happened. So I am called myself a Jimmy Cliff girl, and I hope you're a Jimmy Cliff boy.
Well, that's my favorite musician by far.
You see that?
Has always been
and
will always be.
So you can get it if you really want, but
For
you
sure.
must try and try. And part of me believes that if you had given up, you wouldn't be standing up at that microphone.
Not
so
at
my
all.
brethren, I don't know which ministry it is, but rest assured that come and we will legitimately and fairly investigate. And once we can do it, that has been the approach of this government, to enable, empower, and enfranchise.
Well, now
Okay?
I'm made to understand that you hold the portfolio for that particular ministry.
Which one is this now?
Culture.
Culture.
That's
So
another ministry I've been turned to.
No problem, but Chantal Monroe Knight, I'll speak to her tomorrow, but where is the location you're looking at?
St. John.
No, what is the
Gaw
location?
Hill.
Up
To
in
be
here.
specific, yes.
So you really need to speak to Charles because he has some plans.
I have
up in here
spoken
too.
to Charles.
Well, no, we can talk about it here now.
Well, he
and
said
see
he would
what
like
it
me
is.
to get it despite other people have shown an interest, but he would prefer, and
Well,
these is his
then
words.
what happens in those cases
I
is
don't
that
know.
it goes to what? It goes, put an ad in the paper, and everybody just put in a bid, and we move from there. Yeah?
Well, I don't know. I'll do what I have to do, though. I take you quite serious.
And I seriously too, because if I felt that you didn't believe in what you're doing, you won't be standing up there.
For
And the
sure.
mere fact that you're standing up there tells me that there is an opportunity for us still to do what is right. I'm sorry that the letter was not seen, and basically Roy will tell you that if it's the one thing I do,
Well,
is
I
to
even
try
have a
and tell
copy
them-
of that letter here as well.
Right, by trying to tell them, engage, engage, engage. And that's why we've restructured the office to be able to deal with the fact that we get hundreds of letters every month. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
You want me to answer?
All right. I think we've had an exceptionally good run tonight. Yes, we've had an exceptionally good run. You have spoken. Fortunately, you've had quite a few members of the cabinet and officials of government here to respond to you directly. There are some issues that still have to be dealt with, and we will deal with them. But for now, we're going to wrap up. I'll let the MP for St. John have his final word, and afterward, Prime Minister will close us. But from my end, thank you very much for engaging. The next session like this will be in St. George. We will set the date and we will make it public and go from there. But Charles?
Thank you. Tonight is part of the reason why I came to politics to represent the constituency of St. John. 5, 10, 15 issues raised tonight, and a proactive Prime Minister that fixed practically all of them. And hence, my reason for continuing to say that St. John will be rising. I want to thank all of you for coming out tonight and sharing concerns in relation to what is going on in the constituency. We could only go from strength to strength. As long as I'm standing as the MP for St. John, I will do every single thing within my power to move the people of St. John forward, because that is the reason why I came. That is the reason why I came to the Barbados Labour Party at this time with this Prime Minister, to ensure that the progress, to ensure that the love she spoke about that would be embraced in the Barbados Labour Party come to the constituency of St. John. And it is no idle talk when I say that St. John is rising. For those of you who pass Pool Woods, I didn't mention it at the beginning, but that will soon be renamed Mahogany Park. And we have persons from St. James that are picnicking there, thanks to the Clean and Green from Minister Ford. St. John will continue to do what is necessary in terms of rising, and I promise you faithfully, every single day I will get up and go to work for one particular reason, to move the people of St. John and this country forward. I thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you very much. Just to say, with each of these events, I get and feel prouder to be a Bajan. This is the definition of active citizenship. And I have no doubt that the numbers are going to grow. And I have no doubt that the people will come with all kinds of comments and queries. And whatever they are, it is what it is. When the public gave us the overwhelming mandate a second time, I knew that we had to find a way of being able to reach people where they are. This is but one of them. I indicated that the season for reasoning hopefully will start in August, and that will focus every other week on young people specifically. Not different format from this completely, but it is these kinds of things that will help build out this country. The Constitutional Review Commission, I believe, AG, is complete now, and they will start to consult in short order in a couple of weeks. And the Parliamentary Reform Commission will also be settled very shortly. Why? Because at the end of the day, as we move to do these things, we are moving to make our communities and our engagement stronger. And the People's Assemblies, as I indicated, is what now lies ahead of us to be able to complete as we go forward. So thank you for coming out. It is always good to be in St. John. It's better to be in St. John when it is as cool as this at night. And thank you for the warmth and obviously the very clear and precise statements as to what you need, where you need, and how you need it. Thank you, and God bless you all. And thank the MP very much for his continued engagement. None of us are perfect, but we will do our best and put our best foot forward each day to make life better and to make you sleep a little easier. And I'd like to thank the public officers who really do not have to be here, but who understand that if we are going to serve our nation, then this kind of active engagement once a month is what is needed. Thank you.